7 years ago, the Alpha King lost the only woman he ever loved, bound by a curse that demands he win her back, only if she remembers nothing of him. Now, in a crowded slave market, he buys a trembling woman for a single gold coin, knowing she is his mate. But she stares at him with empty eyes. Every moment he spends with her, the curse deepens its grip, threatening not just their love, but his very soul. If he breaks the rules, he could lose himself forever. If he obeys, he loses her for all time. Will he risk everything to make her remember, or watch her slip away again into oblivion? But let me start from the beginning. The iron bit deep into Ilara's wrists. Sunlight glared off muddy cobblestones, turning every jeer into a stab behind her eyes. Somewhere in the crowd, someone spat, not at her, but close enough to feel it. Why today? Why was the auctioneer's voice jagged with laughter, as if he already knew her price? She tried to count her breaths, but the marketplace surged and broke around her. Sheep bleated behind the wooden platform. The stench of rain-soaked earth clung to her skin, sharp as the hemp dress scraping her knees. Each time the manacles shifted, raw skin burned. Ilara stared at the ground, refusing to meet the hunger in their faces. 10 silvers. For that one? A voice from the crowd, mocking, not serious. Laughter rolled like thunder. The auctioneer's gavel slammed the post. She's a witch-born stray, boys, barely worth the chain. He jerked the iron chain so Ilara jolted forward. The rough wood dug into her shins. The laughter cut deeper than the iron. Across the square, a hush spilled out. Unnatural, sudden, heads turned. A velvet black cloak split the crowd as if by magic. Draven, the Alpha King, did not raise his voice. He did not need to. No one called out to him. The shouts died on lips. Even the livestock quieted, as if the wolves themselves had gone still. Golden eyes swept the square. Not warm gold, but the cold shimmer of a predator. His gaze landed on Ilara. She tried not to flinch, but her body betrayed her. A shiver flickered down her arms, iron biting. Draven's boots struck mud, slow and even. Every villager shrank back, save one. Alpha Corvin, arms crossed, a smirk slicing his face.
How generous of your majesty to grace us. Feel like adding a trinket to your kennel?
Draven's cloak brushed the auctioneer's table. Without looking at Corvin, he drew a single gold coin from his pocket. The movement was deliberate. His gloved hand trembled, barely, the way a drawn bowstring hums before release. He set the coin down. The sound clanged sharp as a bell. The coin's weight pressed into Ilara's thoughts, cold and heavy, as if it were already hers to carry. The auctioneer stared, then snorted.
1 coin? I get more for a runt goat.
More laughter. Ilara's jaw clenched. Draven did not blink.
That is the price.
He did not raise his voice. He did not need to. The king's wolf aura pressed out, a ripple in the air. Silent, undeniable. The auctioneer's knuckles whitened on the gavel. No one else bid. The chain jerked again. The auctioneer spat at Ilara's feet, sneering.
Worth less than a hound, this one. Take her, if you're so eager for rubbish.
The crowd pressed in, waiting for Draven to answer. He said nothing for her. The sun overhead burned, but Ilara felt the icy weight of that coin in her palm, real and terrible. She lifted her chin, though her legs shook. He stared at her, as if he were starving. Something unreadable flickered in his eyes. Hunger, grief, recognition? She could not name it. Did he know her? If he did, why did her own memory recoil, blank and seared at the edges? She did not thank him. Instead, she hooked a glance at Alpha Corvin, at the jeers, at the king's hand, and pressed the coin until it dug a crescent into her skin. One small act of defiance. Draven took the chain, gathering it in his gloved hand. The tremor in his grip was gone, or hidden. He turned without ceremony, leading her through the stunned, whispering crowd. People parted, faces pinched with fear or envy. Over her shoulder, Ilara caught the auctioneer's scowl, Corvin's narrowed eyes. The coin in her palm felt like a curse, or a key she would never understand. Why would the Alpha King risk everything, his rule, his pride, for a slave who did not even know his name? As the velvet black cloak swept ahead, Elara stumbled after, her ankles stinging from the mud and chain. The crowd fell away, voices fading. Somewhere behind, a bell began to toll. The sound chased them up the cobbled street, smearing sunlight into shadow. She did not look back. Not yet. The bite of iron snapped at her wrists with every step. Elara stumbled, mud soaking the ragged hem of her dress, chains clinking louder than the taunts from behind. Why did the king drag her this way, not through the open square? Why did the guards avert their eyes as he passed, as if afraid they'd be next? Why did the air taste of burnt hemlock and rancid blood, even after the auction crowds faded? The alley behind the marketplace was a wound in the city's skin. Stone walls slick with moss, rats darting beneath overturned crates. Sunlight couldn't reach here, only flickering torchlight leaking from somewhere behind, making everything look bruised and broken. Elara tried to keep pace with Draven's long strides, but the iron cuffs pulled, biting deep, raw against dirt-streaked skin. A market guard spit at her feet, the glob landing on her ankle. He laughed, loud, for the king to hear. Draven didn't slow, didn't even flinch. The slam of his boots drowned out the guard's jeer, but not Elara's shame. She swallowed hard, head down, letting her hair curtain her face. The king's grip never faltered, not on her arm, never on her skin, always on the iron. His gloved hand closed over the mamical chain, as if it were nothing. He stopped. A single word from him, and the rats vanished, the alley holding its breath. She braced for another order, for cruelty. Instead, Draven pulled her into the deepest shadow, hidden from the main road, away from curious stares. He knelt. Elara stared, the king on his knees, facing her wrists. His gloved fingers moved with slow deliberation, withdrawing a key from somewhere inside that velvet black cloak. The iron manacles creaked as he loosened them. Cold metal stung hot skin. The cuffs scraped bone as they fell away, leaving raw bruises shaped like promises. He didn't touch her. Not once. He let the shackles drop between them, iron on stone, the sound sharp as a slap. Draven's voice was lower than she expected. Controlled. Unreadable.
You're not in danger. Not now.
If this story has you hooked, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss what comes next. The meaning slipped past her, slick as the moss underfoot. She hugged her arms close, rubbing at her wrists. The skin prickled in the sudden absence of iron, and something else she couldn't name.
Why did you buy me?
He watched the ground. His eyes never met hers.
You will have answers. In time.
He stood, cloak whispering against wet stone, boots stirring rotten straw. The king's shadow loomed taller against the wall, but he stepped back, keeping a careful distance, as if proximity itself was dangerous. Even the torchlight seemed to hesitate, not quite reaching his eyes.
If you want obedience, you'll have to say more than that.
Her voice wavered, but she forced it steady. Draven's jaw tightened. That, at least, was human. A silence stretched long enough for her thoughts to pile up. His gloved hands, the strange gentleness, the way he watched her wounds and not her body.
You are safe, Elara. I promise it.
He didn't say why. He didn't reach for her. Instead, his gaze flickered to her bare arms, then away, as if the sight cost him. Relief flashed through her in a wave, soft as warm rain, but it crashed against the next sharper uncertainty. What did he want from her? Why couldn't he meet her eyes? Rats skittered in the gutter. The iron cuffs lay glinting in the mud, cold and empty, as Draven turned his back. A silver coin spun from his hand, catching the last of the torchlight.
We move now. Quickly. There are others who would take what is mine.
He didn't wait for her answer. Elara stepped over the falling chains, hands tingling where the metal had been. Somewhere behind, the guard's laughter still echoed. She hesitated, then followed, questions trailing her like ghosts. The birch trees at the forest's edge stood pale and thin as bones, sunlight glinting off papery bark. Distant howls fractured the hush, chased by the sharp scent of rain-soaked earth beneath moss and crushed pine needles. Elara kept her arms tucked close, careful not to meet Draven's gaze as he strode ahead, his steps so deliberate that even the ground seemed to tense beneath him. She stumbled on a slick root. Her bare foot slipped, pressing pine needles into her skin. Her dress, already ruined by the auction, snagged on a bramble. Draven didn't look back until he stopped dead. A blue-clad figure blocked the narrow track. At his side, 4 guards shifted, boots creaking against damp leaves. Ilara's pulse kicked. The air turned brittle, full of wolfish tension. Alpha Corvin's smirk curled wider as he looked Draven up and down.
So this is your prize? They said the great Alpha King bought a corpse with a single coin. Looks more like a broken pet.
Corvin's gaze slid to Elara. Without warning, he shoved her. She hit the mud hard, bruising her hip and scraping her palm. Pine needles crushed beneath her fingers, releasing bitter resin that stung her nose.
Careful, girl. Wouldn't want to ruin what little's left of you.
Elara's face burned. She bit her tongue, but her eyes found Draven's. He stood utterly still, then his jaw tightened. For a breath, nothing moved except the flicker of harsh sunlight on his gloves. But then the change swept through him. Subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. The air thickened. An animal heat radiated from Draven, the hairs on Elara's arms prickling as golden amber caught in his irises, unnatural even in daylight. His voice sounded different, dangerous, distant, laced with something wild.
Step aside, Corvin, or you'll learn what it means to cross me.
Corvin snorted but took half a step back. His men eyed Draven, unease flickering. The Wolf King's presence pressed down, heavy as iron. Something rippled beneath his skin, his control fraying, a beast clawing for release. One guard's boot slipped in the mud. Draven didn't move. He only looked at Elara, his stare scorching, voice cracking on the edge of something unspoken.
Up. Now.
Elara pushed herself to her knees. The scent of crushed pine needles was sharp, anchor and warning. She glanced up, her vision tunneling on Draven's clenched fist, the tremor in his arm. Corvin spat into the moss.
Your wolf can barely leash itself, Draven. All this for a stray? Or...
He leaned in, voice low enough for only Elara to hear.
Maybe it's true what they whisper. The lost moon's daughter walks again.
He grinned, then jerked his chin. His men retreated in a clatter of branches and fading bootsteps, leaving silence broken only by a distant wolf howl. Elara tried to stand, but her legs shook. Draven's eyes were still too bright, his breath ragged.
At least I'm worth fighting over. That's something, isn't it?
Her attempt at humour landed crooked, but earned the barest flicker at the corner of Draven's mouth, gone before she could decide if she'd imagined it. He stayed silent, but offered his gloved hand. She ignored it, pushing herself up with a wince, fingers sticky with sap, grit grinding into her palm. Another howl tore the air, closer this time. Draven's cloak snapped as he turned away. She followed, limping, stubbornly upright. Pine resin clung to her skin, burned her scraped hand. The path ahead narrowed, sunlight flickering. She tasted iron, wondered if it was blood or fear. Behind them, Corvin's taunt echoed, the lost moon's daughter. Elara glanced back and caught Draven's knuckles white on his sword hilt, jaw set against words he refused to speak. No one spoke as they vanished into the birch shadows, but the questions walked with them, pacing just behind every step. Rain-soaked earth coated the threshold, each step inside the shelter sending a faint squelch through the slick moss. The dying fire dribbled thin smoke toward the roof, and the heavy scent of burnt hemlock curled around the rough stone hearth. Draven shrugged off his velvet cloak, tossing it across a heap of splintered chairs, then pressed his palm to the wall as if steadying himself. A hunter's coarse wool blanket, dirt-grimed and scratchy, lay crumpled by the fire. Elara hovered at the edge of the light, her spirit shimmering faintly above the mossy floor. She watched Draven's gloved hand. Dark blood had seeped through the right glove, staining it near the thumb. She didn't know why she felt uneasy. Something about the wound seemed worse than it looked. He caught her stare and turned away, jaw set. She floated closer, folding her arms to hide the trembling in her fingers. The blanket's rough wool scratched against her palm as she picked it up and offered it with hesitant hands.
You're bleeding. Sit.
He hesitated, then lowered himself onto a broken bench. Smoke stung the air as she pulled off his glove. The wound gaped along his lifeline, crusted with dirt and metal filings. Draven winced, but didn't pull away.
Why did you step in front of Corvin? I can heal it.
He flinched, gaze locked on the fire. The hunter's blanket pressed to his palm, soaking crimson, but he said nothing. A wolf's howl drifted through the trees, not close but not far enough to ignore. Elara wrapped the blanket tighter, the coarse wool scratching her skin.
You didn't have to risk yourself. Not for me. You barely know me.
Draven's mouth tightened. He looked everywhere but her. The smoke, the cracked roof, the blackened pot hanging by the fire.
Corvin doesn't get to decide who lives or dies. Not tonight.
For a moment, only the crackle of the fading fire answered. Elara pressed the cloth hard enough to slow the bleeding. She could sense the tension coiled beneath his stillness, anger and something gentler mingling beneath the surface. She tried to catch his eyes and failed. He would not look at her. Instead, she focused on the wound. The smell of iron was sharp, tangled with damp wool and her own ghostly chill.
It'll scar if you don't let me help.
His voice was softer than she'd heard before.
You aren't afraid of what I am.
Elara hesitated, then shook her head.
I've seen what people become when they're afraid. I'm tired of being afraid.
A faint smile threatened at the corner of Draven's mouth, chased away by habit. He flexed his fingers, pain flickering across his stoic mask. She dabbed away the worst of the blood, forcing gentleness into her touch. The blanket's roughness scraped at her skin, but she did not let go.
Thank you for what you did.
The fire cast long, shifting patterns across Draven's face. He finally met her gaze, golden eyes, shielded and searching.
Don't thank me yet.
Wind rattled loose boards overhead. Elara's eyes darted to the crooked doorway. A dark shape lingered, silent and watching. Draven's body tensed, every muscle drawn taut as a bowstring. Something waited, just beyond the fire's edge. The corridor reeked of rain-soaked earth and damp wool. The torchlight sputtered in wall sconces, casting sharp gold across the crumbling stone. Elara hovered just inside the threshold, her bare feet prickled with grit and cold. The castle's weight pressed down, as if the stones remembered every secret. But what else was hidden here? She didn't know. Draven's boots thudded on the uneven floor. He paused, voice low and clipped.
You'll stay in the servant's wing. No wandering. If you're seen elsewhere, I'll hear of it.
He didn't look at her, his attention fixed on a steward in brown wool.
She's off limits. If a hand is laid on her, there will be consequences.
Pharaoh's eyes flicked over Elara's tattered dress, mouth tightening in faint resentment. But he inclined his head.
Understood, Your Majesty.
Elara said nothing. Her fingers curled into the rough hemp at her side, wishing she could shrink into the wall. She felt the eyes, both visible and unseen, tracking her like a stray dog brought in from the storm. Rain battered the high, cracked glass overhead. The corridor stretched on, torchlight wobbling. Whispers leaked from behind closed doors. She hesitated, listening. Pharaoh's voice faded. Draven's heavy steps receded. Alone. Wonder ticked inside her, urgent and thin. She pressed forward, drawn by a thrum beneath her skin. Not quite pain, not quite hunger. But what was it? She passed storerooms that reeked of burnt hemlock and iron. A kitchen with rosemary and lavender clinging to damp air. She nearly turned back, but then, at a bend, a narrow door. Its wood was blackened, marked by strange runes carved shallow and deep. She reached out. The stone beneath her palm warmed, a gentle thrum rising through her spirit to her fingertips. The runes glimmered, not bright, but alive, like embers when the fire's gone out. She traced one symbol. The pulse grew stronger, echoing up her arm. Magic, old as the walls. Her skin prickled with dread and yearning all at once. A sudden sound, the scrape of boots on stone. Elara jerked her hand away, heart leaping. A shadow broke the torchlight just beyond the corner. Her body went rigid. She pressed herself close to the wall, heart thudding, fingers tingling with the memory of that silent vibration. The presence passed, Draven, cloak whispering across mossy stone. As he neared the door, the runes beneath her hand flared brighter, lines searing gold just for an instant. He did not stop. Did he see, or was it only for her? After he was gone, Elara exhaled, her shoulders trembling. In the hush that followed, she let her hand hover over the runes again. They fluttered with gentle heat, like a secret wanting to be told. She should leave. Draven's command rang in her ears, but curiosity gnawed sharper than fear. She knelt, peering at the keyhole. Inside, only darkness twisted by slow-moving light. Something in her whispered, "This is why you're here." A draft crept down the corridor, carrying distant wolf howls and the promise of danger. Elara's skin tingled, half with anticipation, half with warning. She pressed her palm to the rune a final time. The thrum met her, steady and certain, and for a breath the whole castle seemed to listen with her. Behind her, another door creaked open. Voices, the moment snapped. She twisted away, vanishing into the lantern-lit shadows, the memory of living magic burning beneath her fingertips. The runes continued to glow, unseen, as Draven's silhouette passed. The great hall's air was thick with the smell of roasted venison and spilled wine. Flickering torchlight painted the stone walls, dancing along tapestries depicting wolves and bloodied crowns. Elara's spirit drifted between the tables, invisible to most, the rough hemp of her tattered dress brushing against cold iron as she refilled goblets with trembling hands. The sticky chill of wine soaked through her linen sleeve, clinging to her skin like a stain that would not wash out. A silver goblet tipped suddenly, wine splattering across Elara's arm.
Careful, slave. If you can't serve, perhaps we'll have you lick the floor instead.
A ripple of laughter from the nobles. Mirian's lips curled, blue eyes bright with cruelty. Elara froze, wine dripping down to the crumbling stone, her face burning. At the high table, Draven's jaw tightened, but he did not move. His golden eyes met hers for a heartbeat, cold, unreadable, before flicking away. If she expected rescue, she found only indifference. Elara's sleeve stuck cold and damp to her forearm. She pressed the cloth to her side, jaw set. She would not beg. Another lord, flushed and unsteady, leered up at her as she approached.
Come pour for me, ghost girl, or is your hand too shaky?
He reached for her, missing, nearly toppling his own plate. Laughter again, sharper this time, edged with something hungry. Elara steadied herself, then tipped the jug with deliberate precision.
If I pour too much, it might wake the beast sleeping on your lap.
The table went silent, then a burst of laughter from Lys farther down, his hazel eyes glinting with quiet amusement. The wolf lord's cheeks mottled, but he said nothing more. Elara let herself savour the smallest taste of victory as she moved on. The relief was brief. Lady Mirian's voice followed her, low and venomous.
She's the one from the prophecy, isn't she?
Elara nearly stumbled. The council's whispers had teeth sharper than any wolf's. She glanced over her shoulder, catching Mirian's gaze, cold, assessing. Steward Farrow hovered nearby, eyes narrowed, lips pressed thin. A metallic clang rang out as platters were cleared. The castle's great doors opened, a gust of rain-soaked earth mixing with the heavy scent of blood and roasting meat. Elara's hands shook so fiercely she nearly dropped the pitcher. Later, when the feast began to dissolve into drunken revelry and arguments, Elara slipped into a torchlit corridor. The rough stone chilled her bare feet. The sticky cold of her sleeve sent shivers up her arm, refusing to be forgotten. Her gloved hand caught her elbow, firm but not cruel. Draven steered her into a patch of shadow, his voice low, barely above the clank of distant chains.
You draw too much attention. The council is watching. Stay away from them, especially Mirian.
Elara blinked, fighting the urge to flinch at his nearness. His cloak brushed her arm, velvet cold.
You mean stay invisible? That's difficult, even for a ghost.
His mouth twitched, a flicker of something almost like amusement, before the mask slid back into place.
Mockery won't save you. Do as I say, or you'll regret it.
Elara met his gaze, the defiance in her still burning despite the humiliation. She forced her voice steady.
If I meant to disappear, why bring me here at all?
He didn't answer. Only the faintest tremor in his jaw betrayed any reaction. A door closed somewhere down the corridor. She heard footsteps, hushed voices. Lady Mirian's words echoed. She's the one from the prophecy, isn't she? Elara pressed her damp sleeve hard against her side, chill biting through the linen. Questions burned hotter than the wine's stain. What prophecy? Why did Draven watch her and do nothing? And how many eyes waited for her to slip, so they could finish what the wolves began? In the silence, a council sigil glimmered on the nearest door, a symbol she'd never seen before. The servants' quarters reeked of damp wool and iron, the straw beneath Elara's hands scratchy against her phantom skin. Dawn's golden glow slipped through the tiny window, casting faint stripes across the room. Something sharp needled through her palm, her hand. It was wrong, veins black and twisted, the colour of bruised silver beneath the skin. She tried to flex her fingers. Pain sliced up her arm, sick and scorching. The blood beneath her skin shimmered silvery black, twisting into strange runes she couldn't understand. She pressed her palm to the straw, biting back a gasp as it seared. A metallic tang filled the air, edged with the acrid stench of burnt skin and old hemlock. Not hers, something deeper, fouler seeping from her own body. She scrambled upright, shaking. The straw rattled. No one else stirred, only that wolf pup nestled in the corner, haloed by a puddle of dawn. Its ears perked, and it whimpered, as if it felt her pain. Movement behind her, heavy, deliberate. She flinched, refusing to cower. Draven filled the low doorway, sunlight tracing silver along his jaw, his eyes colder than iron. He took in her hand, the veins, the blood, his jaw clenched, leather gloves creaking. He strode to her, kneeling at her side, and stripped off his glove. Without a word, he wrapped his bare hand around hers. The curse writhed in her veins, burning hotter at his touch. A hiss escaped her. The acrid burn of skin against skin curled through the air, bitter, medicinal, wrong.
Stay with me. Don't look away.
His voice was low, command, not comfort. She tried to obey, but the pain gnawed at her bones.
What's happening to me?
His thumb pressed against her wrist, steady and unyielding. Gold eyes flicked to hers, calculating, as if measuring how much to reveal.
Your blood is changing. The curse takes root in the weak places first.
The wolf pup edged closer, tail low. It nosed at her side, pressing its warmth along her thigh. Elara's breathing stuttered. The creature's fur was soft, raw, vital. For an instant the pain dulled. Wonder prickled through her fear. She gritted her teeth against another surge. The veins crawled higher, branching beneath her skin in silver-black tributaries. Draven drew a knife from his belt, holding it to the light. He sliced a strip from the hem of her dress, winding it tight around her wrist. The stench of burning skin grew stronger. Her blood sizzled against the fabric, smoke rising in faint grey walls.
If the blood is poison, why touch me?
Draven's grip tightened, not enough to hurt, but enough to warn.
Because I'm not so easily killed, and neither are you. 7 days, Elara. If we do nothing, your blood will finish what it started, and it will take me with you.
She stared at him. His words bit deeper than any wound.
You'd die because of this?
He looked away then, voice flat.
The curse is tied to your blood, my blood, bound by the coin, by the bargain. Your pain is the warning. By the 7th day, both of us.
He stopped. Her head spun with questions. Why her? Why him? Why the coin? Why would a king risk himself? The wolf pup whined, pawing at her dress. She let her hand fall to its head, fingers trembling. Its warmth seeped up her arm, chasing back a fraction of the icy ache. Wonder and terror tangled, sharp as a knife. She forced herself to sit straighter, meeting Draven's gaze. Every instinct screamed to recoil, but she held his stare, refusing to be small.
Then tell me what I have to do. I won't let it kill us.
The room seemed to shrink, the air thick with burnt hemlock and threat, the straw beneath her knees damp with sweat. Draven's eyes narrowed, searching her face for something unnamed. From the corridor, a sound, boots striking stone. Someone was coming. Draven let go of her hand, but the imprint of his touch burned deeper than the curse. Burnt hemlock clung to the back of Ilara's tongue before she even crossed the threshold. The stone cottage, crouched beneath a sagging thatch roof, its narrow windows glowing with lantern-lit shadows. Inside, bundles of rosemary and lavender drooped from blackened beams. Candlelight jittered on cracked stone walls. Healer Isbet hunched over a simmering cauldron, stirring with a wooden spoon stained green at the tip. The bitter taste in the air deepened with every slow turn. Draven's presence loomed behind Ilara, silent and unmoving. The velvet of his cloak brushed her sleeve, a warning, not a comfort. Yesbet didn't glance up. Her voice scraped like gravel.
Hemlock is good for clarity, or for ending questions that fester.
Ilara's spirit flickered, her edges blurred in the gloom. She tried to ignore the cold ache threading through her chest.
Why did you bring me here?
Draven shifted, boots grinding on crumbling stone.
She's owed the truth.
Yisbet finally looked up, eyes sharp and green as broken glass.
You think truth is mercy? Naive. Listen, both of you.
Her gnarled fingers tapped the rim of the pot. The air thickened with the reek of boiled hemlock.
The blood binding was my work. 2 souls, 1 punishment. If her memories return, the curse finishes what it began. You both die. Slowly.
Ilara's whole form shivered, silver light flaring around her feet.
You're lying. I don't believe.
Yesbet cut her off with a shake of her head.
Your veins blacken already. You've seen it. What did you think it meant? A gift?
A pulse of nausea rose. Ilara forced herself not to vanish into mist.
I want to know everything. No more riddles, please.
Draven's gloved hand hovered near her shoulder, a gesture aborted before it reached her. His jaw tightened, tracing a line as sharp as the edge of a blade.
You were once my mate, not by decree, by choice.
He looked away, golden amber eyes hardening.
The council made an example. They bound your blood to your memory. If you remembered me, us, it would kill you. And me with you.
Ilara's mind reeled, 1,000 jagged edges fitting nowhere. The taste of hemlock thickened, bitter as betrayal.
So I died because I loved you, and then you brought me back, knowing.
Her voice quivered, anger and hope tangled in each word.
I would not let them erase you. I thought...
He broke off. The silence pressed in, broken only by the hiss of the cauldron. Yesbet's eyes lingered on Ilara's hands. Veins glimmered faintly black beneath translucent skin.
Understanding isn't balm, it's poison. If you dig too deep, the curse devours you. Knowledge is its own death sentence.
Ilara's spirit swelled with ache, but she pressed forward, desperate.
There has to be a way to break it. There always is.
You want a cure, then let the past rot, or gamble both your lives. But don't mistake hope for safety, girl.
A silence stretched. Lanterns guttered. Draven's hand finally rested on the stone table, close enough for Ilara's light to cast a faint shimmer over his knuckles. Neither moved away.
You risked everything to reclaim me. Was it worth the price?
Ask me when this is over.
A log snapped in the hearth, scattering white sparks and the stench of hemlock. Elara flinched. Outside, a distant wolf howl tore through the night, then the unmistakable jangle of chains too near the cottage. She caught Draven's gaze, hard, afraid, and for the first time, uncertain. The next question burned between them, louder than any curse. Lightning veined the sky, silver flash turning the fields to glass. Elara's spirit shimmered as she fled through sodden grass, not flesh, but memory and will, slipping between raindrops, the world blurring at her edges. Her tattered dress trailed spectral behind, toes never stirring mud, yet every footfall thudded with purpose. The sharp tang of wet fur and dung stung her senses as she passed the goat pens. Ghosts, it seemed, could not outrun old habits. The sense hit just as strong, the discomfort as real. Panic pressed her forward. She flitted through fence rails as if they were fog, pulse quick and bright, desperate for anywhere Draven couldn't follow. Behind, Draven's boots tore through waterlogged earth. His heavy tread shook droplets from the straw roof as he scanned for her glow, eyes raw with worry.
Elara, don't do this. I'm not your enemy.
She darted into the goat pen, slipping between the animals. The goats shivered, their eyes wide, some skittering from her cold presence, others unbothered. One enormous brute, horns curling like question marks, huffed and stamped, jostling her with its damp side. Her form flickered where its fur brushed through her, halfway between being and air. She pressed herself into the straw, forcing her glow to dim, praying she could blend with the shadows and muck. The smell of wet wool and dung was everywhere. Above, thunder rolled. She thought, absurdly, that hauntings should be more dignified. Draven's silhouette appeared at the fence, cloak plastered to his frame, hair streaming water. His jaw worked, fist clenched at his side. His next words wavered, ragged with fear.
You think hiding makes you safe? You're not the only one who wants out.
The goat, sensing a rival, squared up. It met Draven's golden stare with a snort worthy of a warlord. Draven took a single step closer. The goat charged with a soggy battle cry, forcing him to swerve, mud splattering his boots.
By the gods, not you too.
Elara snorted, the sound almost laughter, almost a sob. If she had a heart, it might have leapt. King of wolves, thwarted by livestock. She reached for the goat's ear, her fingers passing through, icy static tingling. The beast only huffed, then sat directly in front of her like a barricade of wool and stubbornness. The world frayed at the edges. She focused, mind-scraping for any plan beyond hiding. She could slip away again, drift up and vanish. But something stopped her. A pulse, not her own, but Draven's panic spiking through the rain. Not anger, fear. For her. She forced herself to materialize just enough for her voice to catch the wind.
You should leave. I'm not your problem anymore.
Draven's head jerked toward her. For a breathless moment, his mask cracked. Hurt flickered over his face before the storm washed it away.
You have no idea what hunts you, or what I am trying to stop.
A flash of movement caught her eye at the far edge of the field. Not goat, not Draven. Something hulking, limbs too long, pacing just beyond the light. For the first time, Elara stepped through the goat, out onto the wet straw, forcing herself into full view. Her form burned brighter, daring whatever lurked to face her instead. A voice, cold and familiar, split the storm from the darkness beyond.
Run all you like, little ghost. Wolves aren't the only hunters tonight.
Rain-cooled air lingered in the monastery herb garden. The scent of rosemary and lavender rolled over Elara's spirit form as she hovered near the stone path, faintly glowing, not quite solid. Bells tolled distantly, their echo swallowed by wet leaves and the rough, crumbling stone underfoot. Elara drifted, almost invisible to the world of the living, yet pulled by old aches and the memory of belonging. She pressed her translucent fingers through a rosemary sprig, feeling the thick, waxy leaves resist before giving way with a cold, almost electric tingle. The garden's smells, earth and crushed herbs, cut through her haze, sharper than memory. For once, she did not flinch from the sensation. Lys stepped into the lamplight, his olive-green robe brushing rain from the plants. He moved as if he knew she would be there, his eyes gentle, his voice carrying a warmth that teased the sharp edge of her longing.
You have a talent for finding the quietest corners, Alara, even among ghosts and secrets.
Her own voice sounded hollow, thin, threaded with the shimmer of her spirit. Yet Lys heard. He always did.
The living don't notice me. This place does. Is that strange?
He crouched beside her, plucking a lavender stalk and rolling it between his fingers until oil stained the tips. The scent mingled with rosemary, strong against the damp.
Plants remember, even if people forget. If you listen, they tell you who's been here and why.
A gust of wind brought the distant crackle of fires and a wolf's howl, reminders that the world beyond the monastery pressed close, restless and hungry. Elara's spirit rippled, uneasy. She fixed her gaze on the coin in her palm. Cold iron, marked by curses, glinting against her ethereal skin. Each time she touched it, something tugged at her. Pain, defiance, the echo of a life stolen.
Every time I try to let go, it drags me back. The coin, the memories. Sometimes I dream, lives that aren't mine. Sometimes I wonder if I ever truly lived at all.
Lys watched her, quiet. In the hush came the rhythmic drip of rain from the eaves above, and the scent of burnt hemlock from a distant hearth. He reached for her hand, not to take, but to steady, his fingers passing through her ghostly palm. The cold of her spirit met the warmth of his skin. For a blink, she felt almost real.
We all carry thorns from what we loved. I once gave my heart to a witch. I hid us here, among these beds. The world tore her away and left me with scars and regrets.
He drew breath, voice trembling just enough to betray old wounds.
I tried hiding from my own grief. It grew around me, just as the rosemary does. Hiding only deepens the ache, Alara.
A pause. Lantern light flickered on the coin, and Lys's lips curved in a sad, knowing smile. The kind that lingers when truth costs too much. Elara's pulse, if a spirit could have a pulse, quivered with decision. She knelt in the slick moss, pressing the coin into the damp earth at the foot of a rosemary bush. Her fingers tingled, curses scraping through her like gravel. She did not flinch. She chose.
Then I will not hide. Not from myself, not from what they made me.
Something inside her eased, as though her spirit had taken root alongside the rosemary. She drew in the scent, sharp, medicinal, oddly comforting. The world felt just a little wider. Lys rose, his robe catching on the cracked stone. He looked at her, not with pity, but respect.
Most spend their lives fleeing fear. Few have the courage to plant it and let new things grow.
A brief human warmth passed between them, not longing, but possibility. The monastery bells rang again. This time someone shouted, "Closer!" Urgent, the tone not of prayer, but warning. Elara's spirit braced, the coin half buried at her side. She straightened, resolve settling in her chest like stone.
If they come, they'll find me on my feet.
But as she turned, a shadow fell across the garden. Someone familiar, someone she hadn't expected. The scent of iron drifted in on the wind. Lanterns swung above the monastery gate, sending fractured gold across the damp stone. The wind cut through the velvet lining of Draven's cloak, mixing the scents of burnt hemlock and iron from the gate's bars. Monastery bells tolled midnight, 12 notes, hollow and final. Elara hovered just within the light, spirit edges wavering. Tattered dress stained and torn. Her cursed hand ached, the black veins now crawling past her wrist, pulsing with each slow beat. Draven's boots scraped over slick moss, breaking the hush.
We leave. Now.
His tone was cold iron, but Elara didn't move. Lys stepped between them, robe tugged by the wind.
Elara chooses, not you, not the council.
Draven's jaw flexed. He slid off his black glove and gripped it tight. as if holding back more than words.
She was vowed to me. That bond still stands. But if you must bargain, what is your price?
Elara's storm-grey gaze fixed on his. The curse bit deeper, sharp and hot. A warning.
I won't take another step until you tell me the truth. The full truth, Draven. What did you do when you claimed me? What did you give up?
A beat. Draven's bare hand hovered hesitantly. Then, with a deliberate motion, he pressed his palm over her cursed veins. The pain was white-hot. It jolted through her, burning along every line the curse had drawn, but Draven didn't flinch. His grip was steady, and she realized his own skin reddened where their hands met, as if the curse scorched him too.
I bound my blood to yours. The curse feeds on both of us now. If I release you, it devours you. If I hold on, it marks us both. That is the bargain I made.
Their touch held a crackling charge, as if something ancient and magnetic pulled at the edges of her soul and his restraint alike. For a moment, neither moved. Pain and longing threaded together. Her thoughts raced. Here was her chance. She could vanish, slip through the iron gate, let go of everything. Or she could risk what little she had left and demand more. Instead, Elara pressed her spirit hand harder against his, defying the sting, daring him to bear it with her.
Then choose. Let me go and the curse takes me. Or keep holding on. And you burn too. Which will it be, King?
A flicker, grief or anger, crossed Draven's eyes. Lys tried, gently, to intervene.
If either of you insists on noble suffering, I may start charging for sage advice.
Elara managed a shaky laugh, brief, sharp, almost a real sound. The pressure of Draven's hand eased just enough for her to breathe again. For a heartbeat, the world narrowed to rough hemp and cold iron beneath their hands. Draven met her gaze fully now.
I can't let you go again.
The words slid between them, heavier than iron bars. She held his look, the ache of wanting and anger mingling in her chest.
Then you'll have to trust me. If we're both cursed, we fight together, but on my terms next time.
She withdrew her hand, the black veins glowing, curse exposed to the night. Decision made, she turned toward the monastery gate. The bell's last echo faded, leaving only the creak of hinges behind her. As she reached for the iron bar, her cursed hand shimmered, and a single rune flared, etched in dark fire across her palm. The mark was new. Draven's eyes widened. Lys's voice was suddenly wary.
That wasn't there before, Elara. What did you just accept?
The rune burned, a question and an answer both, its meaning hidden, for now. Stone walls glistened beneath flickering torchlight, their surfaces smudged by centuries of damp wool and burnt hemlock. The bitter metallic tang of spilled poison hangs in the air, sharper than blood, coiling low around the heavy oak table where the council waits. Elara stands near the far end, spirit thin and trembling, her translucent hands folded at her chest. The councillors' gazes slice through her, but it is not their stares that send a warning crawling up her spine. It is the quiet, deliberate movement of Steward Pharaoh setting a silver cup in her reach.
The kingdom cannot abide a witch-born spectre in royal company.
Elara forces herself not to shrink. She counts 5 faces, all hungry, all afraid. Draven's is the only one unreadable, golden amber eyes hooded beneath his brow. His gloved hands remain motionless, barely resting atop the velvet of his cloak. The council's demands fall in clipped words and sharper tones, but Elara listens for subtler dangers, the brittle scrape of Pharaoh's boot on stone, and the way the liquid in the silver cup clings to the rim, too thick.
For the sanctity of the crown, she must be sent away. Banish her, or answer for the unrest.
A pulse of anger blooms in Elara's chest. She leans forward, voice barely above a whisper.
You're so quick to fear what you do not understand. Do you think poison will silence me, even now?
The silence that follows is brittle as crumbling stone. Draven's gaze narrows, a faint clench of his jaw visible. Pharaoh steps close, offering the cup. The smell, sharp, metallic, wrong, stings her senses. Elara's fingers hover, but she catches the shimmer at the lip. Instinct screams. She knocks the cup aside, silver strikes flagstone, and liquid splatters in a bright arc. The metallic stench intensifies. Councillors recoil. Draven does not move. For a moment, all sound is the hiss of the poison soaking into ancient stone. Then, Draven rises. His chair scrapes the flagstones, harsh as an accusation.
Who gave the order?
The question falls heavy. Pharaoh's jaw flexes. Mirian's lips form a line so thin, it nearly vanishes.
The council feared.
But Draven's eyes blaze with fury. He steps forward, voice low but commanding.
You fear a girl more than you fear me?
No one answers. Draven's eyes lock on Pharaoh, then shift to the council. Their power shrinks beneath the weight of his anger. For the first time, Draven stands not as their king, but as Alara's shield. He faces the table, each movement deliberate.
If anyone threatens her again, exile will be mercy compared to what I will do.
A stunned hush follows. The torchlight flickers, painting the spilled poison a dull bronze on stone. Alara looks at Draven. His mask falters, just for a breath. One gloved hand finds hers, solid and cold. Their fingers linger. Long enough for her to feel the steadiness in his grip, the storm beneath his calm. She squeezes back, afraid to let go. The councillors watch, scandalized, uncertain, their unity broken. A memory claws at her. The first auction, an untouched cup. Humiliation forced in silence. Now, the cup is shattered, and Draven stands between her and the world. She is not invisible, she is defended. Draven's voice is low, meant only for her.
You are not leaving this castle.
Elira's throat tightens, but she finds the words.
Even if it means war?
Draven's answer is silence, weighted, absolute. He does not look away. For a moment, warmth unfurls in the space between them. The harshness of the room recedes, replaced by something like safety. But the metallic smell still stains the air. The council's eyes promise retribution. Pharaoh kneels to sweep the poison from stone, but his look tells Alara the battle is only beginning. How many lives is one spirit worth? The question hangs, unanswered, as the torches burn low and the bitter scent refuses to fade. Silver moonbeams spilled through the mist, sliding over slick moss and crumbling stones. The scent of night-blooming flowers pressed thick against Ilara's skin, sweet and choking, as Draven carried her into the heart of the glade. Her veins blazed with sickly light where his gloves brushed her arm. She tried to twist away, but her body was a cage of pain, every joint burning. His grip tightened, not cruel, just desperate. A scattering of fireflies hovered above them, each one trailing a luminous thread that flickered over Ilara's ruined dress and the trembling curve of her shoulder. Their wings traced silver across her skin, as if mapping out what the curse had claimed. Draven knelt, setting her gently on slick moss. His cloak billowed, swallowing her in velvet darkness, before falling away. The air was cool and sharp, stinging with rosemary and iron, the scent of blood hidden beneath the sweetness. He stroked the hair from her damp forehead. She flinched at the touch, her thoughts slipping sideways, nearly lost in the pain.
Ilara, look at me. Say something. Anything.
His voice cracked, the first time she'd heard it sound like that. She blinked, vision clawing back from the edge of white static, and met his eyes. Golden amber, but fractured now. Concern rippling through the mask. She tried to laugh. It came out, ragged.
You look worse than me.
A hint of relief twitched at his mouth, gone too quickly to catch. He leaned closer, his breath stirring the silver mist.
You think this is a jest? Ilara, your veins.
He stopped. The fireflies dipped lower, bathing her hands in soft light. Her veins shone, not black now, but blinding white. Cursed magic fighting to break free. He pressed his gloved palms to her cheeks. His stoicism cracked, voice low and rough.
I don't know how to stop it. Tell me what you need. Please.
She wanted to answer. The pain made it hard to think, but beneath the agony, Something shimmered. A memory, half-formed. The moss was slick beneath her. Stones ringed the glade, carved with runes she couldn't read, humming beneath her skin. The fireflies swirled again, drawing lines along her jaw, her collarbone, the path of every glowing vein. She exhaled, a trembling thread of wonder in the rawness. Even now the glade was beautiful, magic thick as honey, danger and awe tangled tight.
I know this place. I think I remember.
He froze. For a heartbeat, nothing moved but the breathless dance of insects and the rise and fall of her chest.
Remember what? Ilara, if there's anything left.
She closed her eyes. The world spun, sound warping. Distant wolf howls tangled with the memory, children laughing, a hand grasping hers, the smell of burnt hemlock and crushed rosemary. She tried to rise, but her arms failed. Draven caught her, their faces inches apart, his jaw clenched, gold eyes shining desperate. For an instant she saw the king stripped bare, not untouchable, just a man losing someone he wasn't meant to care for.
Stay with me. Don't.
Her body arched as the agony peaked. Fireflies spilled over her face, trailing light into her hair. The runes on the stones blazed white. The glade felt too bright, too sharp, her vision narrowing to Draven's trembling hand on her shoulder.
I was here. Before, the moon was lower, the stones.
The words tangled. Pain threatened to tear her apart.
Ilara, listen, if you know what to do, if there's anything, tell me now.
She forced herself to focus, her voice barely a whisper.
Something's missing. It's wrong. My blood. The light, the curse, it's not just me.
A shiver ran through the moss beneath her, a thrum of power rising from the earth. Draven's hand tightened, as if afraid she might vanish. The fireflies drifted higher. She watched them spiral above, dizzy with awe and terror. Her memory scraped at the locked door inside her mind. She could almost see it, the moment the curse was made, the words spoken under a bloodless moon, a promise that still chained her to this world.
I remember.
The stones erupted in white light. Draven flinched, eyes wide. The glade erupted in the taste of burnt hemlock, the scent of iron, her scream ripping through the night. Everything changed. Dawn's golden light bled through tangled branches, dew shimmering on blades of grass. Somewhere beyond, birds called, but the heaviness pressed in. Ilara's cheek glistened with dampness. Cool, sharp, not tears, not quite. She lifted a hand to brush it away, but her fingers passed through wild violets, petals untouched. The earth beneath shimmered, moss thick with rain, more real than her ghostly skin. She wasn't alone in the dream. Draven stood with her, whole and alive, but younger, a memory half recalled. He was laughing, not the hollow echoes she'd known, but rough, full, unguarded. His hair was a mess. He gripped her wrist, tugging her through the grass as she gasped, breathless. A silver moon hung above them. In the memory, laughter spilling like water. Then the scene flickered, broke. The laughter twisted. Ilara shivered, her dress torn, knees muddy, hands red with blood not her own. Draven's voice was low, tight, almost broken.
I can't save you from this.
She remembered their shadows merging on the grass, the promise made beneath cold stars, his voice barely more than a rasp.
Even if it costs me everything.
Darkness surged. The pain snapped her awake, or as awake as a spirit can be. Dew was cold against her cheek again. She listened. The glade was alive with birdsong, but the ache inside her was as old as the earth. Draven crouched at the edge of the clearing, cloak pooling in wet grass, silver thread catching fire in dawn's light. He watched her, or the place her body would have been. Jaw clenched, unmoving, a wolf made of flesh and regret. Liss approached from the trees, footsteps nearly silent over moss. The sharp scent of rosemary and crushed lavender trailed behind him, a quiet promise of comfort none could keep. Draven didn't turn. His voice was low, scraping.
How much longer will she stay like this?
I cannot say. The curse anchors her. Regret anchors you.
If I break the bond, will she...
Lys shook his head. Morning light made him look almost translucent, as if wisdom itself might dissolve under too much pain.
It was never about bonds, nor about you, truly.
Draven's fists clenched, leather creaking. The smell of burnt hemlock clung to him. Memory or curse, hard to tell.
Don't speak in riddles, Lys.
Lys crouched in the dew, drawing a rune in the mud with his fingertip. His voice was gentle, tired.
I've known since the first night. The mark on her skin, shimmering under the wrong moon. The council was frightened, but I saw the witch's sigil beneath it. I loved her too, Draven, before either of you remembered your own names.
Draven looked at him, truly looked, as if seeing the man, not just the monk.
Why did you keep this from me?
Lys's laugh was small, almost cruel in its softness.
Some things want to stay hidden. Some were never yours to keep.
Elara watched, the ache in her chest sharper than iron. The words pressed into her like a warning. Lys reached into his robe, pulling free a strip of rough hemp, stained, ragged, familiar. He pressed it into Draven's palm, holding it a heartbeat longer than necessary.
This is the final piece. What was bound in blood must be freed in memory. Let her remember the promise. Let you remember what you let go.
Draven's voice dropped to a raw whisper.
And if I lose her, if this breaks her for good?
Lys let out a slow breath, dew fogging around his lips.
You never owned her, Draven. Not then. Not now.
The light shifted. Elara felt the cool dampness again, more real than her own fading form. The birds fell silent. Somewhere deep in her chest, a memory waited, sharp, unfinished. She reached for it. The grass shivered under her hand. The curse began to unravel, or tighten. She couldn't tell which. Suddenly, Draven's voice cut through the silence. Not command, not plea, but something far more dangerous.
Elara.
Silver moonbeams slashed through torn clouds, painting the glade in shards of cold light. The wind lifted Elara's hair, swirling it like mist around her half-glowing form, every nerve burning with dread and longing. Rain-soaked earth squelched beneath her bare feet. The ancient altar loomed ahead, crumbling stone slick with moss, streaked with something darker near its edge. Her hands hovered above it, trembling. The metallic tang of blood still clung to her tongue from the last attempt. She remembered the bitter taste, iron and loss, mingling with the memory of a hand she could never hold. Lys's robe fluttered in the wind. His gentle eyes flicked between Elara and Draven, who stood stiff at her side, the king's velvet cloak pressed tight to his shoulders, fists clenched in black leather gloves. Draven's jaw was set, his gaze fixed on the stone as if willing it to shatter.
You know the risk. Severance means pain, more than either of you can bear. Magic this old bites deep.
Elara nodded, voice thin as breath. The stone felt colder than death.
I have to try. He's drowning in it, because of me.
Draven's eyes snapped to hers. For a moment, she almost saw fear.
Do not flatter yourself. I have survived worse.
But his knuckles were white. Lys pressed something into Elara's hand. The coin, battered and dull. The same he'd used to buy her life at the auction. She'd almost forgotten it. The surface was rough, the edge jagged. Her thumb traced it, feeling the groove where metal had bitten metal, long ago.
Place it. Blood answers what gold cannot.
The glade seemed to tighten. Distant wolf howls rode the wind. Elara placed the coin on the altar, its chill biting her skin, and drew the blade Lys offered. Her spirit fingers shook. The knife's edge split her palm, and the world tipped. Blood spilled impossibly vivid against the stone. The metallic tang filled the air, sharp and heavy. Each drop hissed where it landed, like the stones themselves recoiled from her. Draven flinched, barely perceptible, but she saw it. He would have caught her hand, if she still had flesh to touch. She gasped. The pain was real, more real than her own death. Blood thickened on the altar, pooling around the battered coin, the very coin that had begun this bargain.
What now?
His words rasped. Elara pressed her palm flat, blood smearing the ancient runes.
Now he speaks his truth. The thing he's kept buried.
A pause. Wind tore at Draven's cloak. He looked away from Elara, as if the forest itself might swallow him whole.
Draven, please. The ritual needs...
He slammed his fist on the altar. Moss crumbled, scattering. His voice, when it came, was a low, broken thing.
You want my secret? Here. I am afraid. Every night I see them. The ones I failed. I see you. I am afraid I will fail again, and the kingdom will bleed for it.
Elara stared. The king of wolves was trembling.
I did not come back for the crown.
Silence. The glade pulsed. A heartbeat felt in the ground and air. The blood on the stone twisted, veins of red creeping into the runes, the metallic scent almost choking. Something shifted in Elara. Pain lanced up her arm, burning through her spirit flesh. She sagged against the altar. The curse fought her, black motes swirling in her vision. She gritted her teeth.
Don't let go. If you do, we both.
Draven caught her, arms like iron holding her up. His cloak slipped from his shoulder, velvet brushing her semi-transparent skin, and for one impossible second, she felt warmth. His mask was gone. There was only terror and longing on his face.
I am not letting go.
The blood hissed louder. The runes flashed blinding white. The coin shuddered, spinning on its edge before falling flat. A jolt cracked through Elara, ripping a piece of her soul free. Agony, light, then nothing but raw wonder. She was falling, rising. The altar vanished. Draven's hands dug into her arms, desperate, unyielding. And then, the metallic tang faded, replaced by something brighter, sharper. Her name tore from his throat, wild and wounded. Everything blurred, and the glade exploded with light. Dawn's golden glow filtered weakly through the tangled canopy. Mist pressed cold and wet against the forest glade, hanging over slick moss and the scattered remnants of the ritual. Salt, a coil of burnt hemlock, the single battered coin. Rain-soaked earth muddied Draven's knees. The chill seeped up through the moss, numbing him, but he didn't move. Elara's spirit hovered, her glow flickering. Her fingers trembled as she traced a rune in the air, the last of the ritual's words bleeding away. The runes faltered, threads of light unraveling in the damp. Pain stabbed behind her eyes. Brighter than any wound, the world blurred. Voices warped. The ground tipped, the glade spinning, until all she could see was Draven's face, drawn, pale, jaw clenched so hard it looked like stone about to crack. Then everything sharpened. Time collapsed inward. She was falling, but she stayed conscious, locked in, unable to look away as the ritual twisted back upon itself. A flash. Draven, younger, his hand shaking as he clutched a coin between his thumb and finger. That same battered coin. Rain sluiced down his wrist. He knelt before a hooded figure in a crumbling stone corridor. His voice was raw.
Please, take what you want. Just let her live.
The figure's reply was a whisper, cold as iron. The vision buckled. Another memory crashed in. Draven outside a darkened house, eyes wild, the first cracks in his mask. A girl's laughter inside with someone else. Draven's fists tight, nails digging through his palms until blood dripped onto the stones.
I was never enough.
His voice barely carried, already fading into wolf shape, disappearing into the night. Elara tried to reach him. Her hand passed through memory, through years of loneliness that stung sharper than raw wind, through empty rooms and endless, pacing silence. Each step Draven took was heavier, spine bent by the bargain he made. She saw him in council chambers, alone at the head table, surrounded by watchful eyes and nothing like warmth. He hid the coin. Each night, he rolled it in his trembling hand. Sometimes he pressed it to his lips. Sometimes he nearly threw it away. The glade spun. Pain lanced through Alara's chest. Not hers, his. The loneliness was a physical thing. The ache of devotion he'd never voice. The knowledge that he traded everything and still lost. She tried to cry out. Her spirit flickered. She could see her own body crumpled on the moss, thin dress mottled with dirt. She could see Draven, collapsed beside her, cloak bunched awkwardly under his knees. Cold iron of his glove gripped so tight, the leather snapped. He didn't look away. His jaw was stone, but his shoulders shook with each ragged breath.
Let him be.
Lys's voice was gentle, cutting through the mist. He settled beside Draven, careful to avoid the ruined salt lines. The damp chilled Lys's robe, but he offered nothing but kindness in his eyes.
You can't hold the world together by force. Not even a king. Especially not you.
Draven's reply was harsh, each word scraping his throat.
If I let go, she's gone. I won't. I can't.
He pressed his hands to the moss, the cold seeping deeper. His eyes sought Lys's face, desperate for something he'd never asked for.
You never learned how to lose, Draven. That's your curse too. Stay. Don't run. She needs you here, even if she can't say it.
For a moment, the only sound was distant wolf howls, threading through the trees. A rush of warmth broke through Alara's aching chest. Not her own, not quite, but the echo of comfort Draven had never let himself feel. She remembered his trembling hand with the coin, the bargain made in secrecy, the years he spent clutching it close, refusing to let anyone see him break. She understood, suddenly, why the curse clung so tightly. She tried, willed herself, to speak. The strain sent sparks of pain through her vision, body going rigid. She forced a single word out, voice thin as mist.
Draven.
His head jerked up. Hope and terror warred in his eyes.
Alara, stay with me. Don't, please.
But her spirit flickered, runes cracking apart. The cold moss pressed harder beneath him. He wouldn't let go. He couldn't. He'd made the bargain with trembling hands, traded his soul for a chance at love. And now, at the breaking point, the price demanded everything he had left. And in that moment, the golden dawn cut through the mist, burning into their joined shadows. The battered coin rolled from Draven's hand. It landed at her feet. Dawn's golden glow sliced through the birch trunks. A thrush startled into song overhead, sharp in the hush. Alara pressed her palms into slick moss, rain-soaked earth cool beneath her trembling fingers. She blinked, steadying herself, and the sensation startled her. Her hands felt real, not ghostly, not vanished. She looked down. A coin glittered on the moss. The wolf's head warmed smooth by old fingers and fate. The same coin Draven had pressed into the auctioneer's palm, the one that traded her freedom for a life in chains. She closed her fist around it, feeling every cold ridge burn against her skin. Her memories rushed up, marketplace jeers, stone floors, the scratch of rough hemp against her bruised arms, Draven's face in the crowd, unreadable, the taste of iron when hope failed. Each memory cut sharp and deep. For the first time, she understood what she stood to lose. Not just the curse, not just pain, but the story of her own heart. Every moment she had fought for, every scrap of self she had hidden away. She squeezed the coin until it hurt. Draven knelt opposite her, cloak streaked with dew, face set in lines she hadn't seen before. Vulnerable and exhausted. The scent of burnt hemlock and distant rosemary clung to him. His gloved hands hung limp, tension visible in every muscle. Alara's voice shook as she forced the words out.
You could walk away, let the curse take me. It'd be easier.
Draven's jaw tightened. He looked at the coin, not her.
Is that what you truly want?
She flinched. The curse flickered in the moss, runes writhing, hungry. One wrong choice, and Draven would be destroyed alongside her. One lost memory, and she might never find her way back to herself. or to him. She swallowed hard, her shoulders squared, chin lifting. This part was hers alone.
No, I don't want to forget. I want to live knowing what I choose, even if it destroys me.
She let her hand fall, the coin pressed between their open palms. The metal grounded her, as real as the ache in her chest. She looked Draven in the eye for the first time, storm grey meeting gold.
You weren't saving the kingdom. You were saving me. Say it.
He didn't move, but his voice was stripped bare.
I could live with the curse, but not without you.
A single tear broke from his lashes, traced a line down his cheek, and met her skin as she leaned close. The warmth shocked her, so alive, so heavy with everything they stood to lose. The world shrank to that sensation. Rain, earth, his grief pressed to her cheek. The runes glimmered, magic racing toward the breaking point. Pain lanced through her, not ghostly but physical. Her heart, her memories, her stubborn longing, they could all be erased if she chose freedom. But this time, she moved first. Elara pressed their joined hands to her chest, coin trapped between, her breath steady despite the pain.
If I forget you, I will find you again.
Her words lingered, stubborn and bright. She let go of the coin. Runes surged, then shattered as warmth and pain collided, the curse breaking. Light flared through the moss, through her, burning away the chains at the cost of names, moments, even the memory of his face. She lurched back, gasping, grief and hope warring in the emptiness left behind. Draven's hand slipped from hers. He tried to hold on, but she stepped away, reclaiming her own body, her own will. He called her name, voice hoarse.
Elara, wait.
But something in her had shifted. She turned, staggering, unsteady, and stumbled into a figure in the mist. Not Draven, a man with gentle hazel eyes, ash-blonde hair, and an olive-green robe stained with dawn and dew. Liss, her oldest guide in the spirit realm. She barely remembered his name, but his presence steadied her.
Memories are never lost forever, only waiting for the right hands to find them.
A hush fell. The warmth of Draven's tear lingered on her cheek, even as his name faded. Elara stared at her open palm. The coin gone, but a faint rune burned into her skin. She'd broken the curse. But what had she set free? Within herself, or in the kingdom that watched, waiting, just beyond the mist? Somewhere behind her, Draven drew a shuddering breath. Hope and heartbreak woven together. And the birds, silent until now, burst into sudden song. Dew still clung to the grass, tiny beads sparkling in dawn's golden light. The air smelled of rain-soaked earth and distant rosemary. Draven knelt beside Elara, his gloves slick with mud and blood, one arm cradling her head against his chest. For a breathless moment, nothing in the forest moved except his trembling hand. Elara's skin, once grey with curse, was flushed with life, but her eyes stared blankly past the birch trees, and her lips formed no sound. Draven pressed his forehead to hers. The soft heat of his breath pooled against her skin, anchoring her to the world, willing her back. His voice was hoarse, strangled.
Elara, please, just open your eyes.
He clung tighter, his control slipping. For the first time, she felt the full weight of him. Not the king, not the wolf, but a man on the edge of breaking. His breath stuttered, warmth against her brow. The world narrowed to that touch. Her hand twitched. Damp grass scratched at her palm. Something small pressed into her fist. A thin coin, edges rough, warmth blooming from it like embers. She didn't remember why it mattered. She didn't remember her own name. Her body jerked, seized by a surge of pain, then emptied. Light flashed behind her eyes, then faded. She woke to a hush broken only by distant wolf howls. The world was upside down. This time her arms anchored Draven, his head bent over her chest, his breathing harsh and uneven. Tears streaked his cheeks, cutting lines through the dirt. Elara blinked, uncertain. She pressed her palm to his cheek, feeling the prickle of stubble. He flinched beneath her touch.
You're safe?
The word felt foreign. She knew nothing beyond this moment, this man, this glade. But her heart stumbled when he lifted his head, and she saw the terrible hope in his gold-flecked eyes.
You came back.
His voice cracked, but he didn't look away. She searched his face for meaning, for memory, but found only longing and exhaustion.
Did I leave?
Her other hand opened. The coin tumbled onto the grass, catching the morning light. It was so warm it nearly burned. A shock went through Draven. For a moment his composure vanished, his jaw clenched, knuckles white where he gripped her arm.
You held it the whole time. I thought, if you forgot, I would forget with you.
He didn't say more. The silence that fell was thick with things unsaid, and a history she could not reach. The heat of his breath found her forehead again. It anchored her, a promise stronger than words. Elara sat up, slow, unsteady. Her dress clung, torn and damp, against her healing skin. She studied Draven's hand as it closed around hers, his fingers trembling.
Why am I not afraid?
He tried to answer, but the words faltered. Instead, he pressed his forehead to hers again, letting the warmth say what he could not. The forest brightened. Birds rustled in the birch branches. A new scent drifted in. Rosemary and old parchment. Lice stepped between the trees. Olive robe sweeping dew from the grass. He carried an envelope, seal unbroken. He offered it to Elara with a quiet, knowing smile.
Dawn brings new questions. Some curses end, others wake.
Elara broke the seal, her hand steadier now. Inside, a slip of parchment inked in a curling hand. The lost moon's daughter is not alone. Another curse stirs beneath the new light. She read it twice, frowning. The coin in her palm shone hot, as if recognizing the threat. Draven's eyes narrowed, but this time, Elara met his gaze. She didn't know his story, or hers. But she chose, with clear eyes, to lay her head against his shoulder, letting his warmth, his breath, his presence ground her in this new world.
I don't remember, but I want to stay.
Draven exhaled, shaky, almost a laugh. He reached up, thumb brushing her cheek, and nodded. Far off, wolves howled again, not in mourning, but as if announcing a beginning. The coin in Elara's hand glowed, and Lys watched the dawn with a smile that did not reach his eyes. From the envelope, a second slip of parchment fluttered free, landing at Elara's feet. In a spidery script, "Find the door beneath the castle before the next moon." Elara bent to pick it up, her pulse stumbling. The world was changed, all debts paid. But some doors, she realized, had only just begun to open. Sometimes a beginning is shaped by what we choose to remember and what we let go. Elara faced her loss and her rebirth with quiet courage, holding the hand of a king who had nearly lost himself to keep her whole. Would you have chosen to stay by someone you could not remember, or stepped away in fear? If this story lingered with you, a like or comment can help others find their way to tales like this one. Until we meet again beneath another dawn, listen well. The lost are never truly alone.